In our last episode, we discussed the practice exam my students wrote and 5 tips for academic task 1 writing. In this episode, let's take a deep dive into the overview. If you're joining us for the first time, this is a podcast and a YouTube channel dedicated to helping new and intermediate IELTS test takers understand the exam and attain higher results. Last week, we concluded that we always require an overview for Task 1 Academic IELTS. To review, an overview is just a quick summary of the diagram you are presented without getting into any details. And that last phrase is so important, not getting into any details. Look guys, your overview is not a paragraph that will compare or contrast data. It's not meant to be written to discuss the main trends of the diagram. The way I like to explain an overview is to imagine you're in a plane or you're a bird high up soaring over a landscape. What do you see below? Can you see every single detail? Of course not. You're in a jet 40,000 feet above land. You'll only be able to describe the basics of what is seen below. Take this approach for your overview and it will help prevent any detailed descriptions of the diagram you are presented. Next, we need to always keep in mind that an overview is never a place where you share your opinion or assumptions. Remember what we said about opinions and Task 1 academic writing in our last episode? We need to be careful to only report the facts and what is objective. We can never be subjective in Task 1 academic writing, ever. A great method of remembering to only provide facts is to picture yourself as a detective. A detective is only hunting for what is absolute, identifiable, and so should you for this writing task. In episode 24, we discussed what I like to say is Task 1 language. This just means that we really need to employ linking expressions, verbs, and adverbs that describe the Task 1 diagrams appropriately. And these expressions also need to be used appropriately. For example, should you attempt to use an expression such as a sharp increase or plummet when discussing 2 maps? No, it just doesn't fit. Rather, we would want to use prepositions related to location. Without getting into details now, it's really important to practice using the right expressions for the given diagram. Last week, we also discussed the different ways you may want to conclude your report. But one thing we need to bear in mind is that for this particular task, we want to avoid providing a concluding paragraph. We just don't need one like we do when writing Task 2. And in this particular task, Task 2, we see that your opinion is required and it can be placed at the end of the writing, especially if we're writing an argumentative essay. Let's save this topic for another episode when we cover the various writing styles for Task 2. Getting back to Task 1, we only need a concluding sentence which can summarize the main findings for this particular diagram. When referring to the actual diagram, it's really important to not keep using the same word repeatedly through your report. For instance, we don't want to keep writing bar graph or graph over and over in this report. A big part of IELTS writing is something called Lexical Resource, and this is just another way of measuring the depth of your vocabulary. Instead of using the word diagram, why not substitute this term with similar words such as picture, illustration, or chart? Let's see another example now. Rather than writing, there was a sharp increase, you could write rose dramatically, skyrocketed, or spiked. Does this make sense? Let's take a look at another example. Instead of writing, there was no change in sales for the year 1984, we could write, sales in 1984 remained constant, or sales flatlined in 1984. Hopefully you get the picture. We also mentioned in episode 24 that the overview should really appear in the first or the last paragraph of your writing. Why not insert it in the middle of your writing? Well, it's best to open the task with your summary or close with it, just to maintain flow and continuity. We also covered the issue of listing and how this is a big no-no. Examiners are not looking for every single detail, guys. They're only looking for trends that are pretty obvious. And finally, remember to compare and contrast if you're given more than one graph. Did this episode help you out? Let me know in the comments section on YouTube. And be sure to subscribe for new videos like this every week. Or be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. You can also sign up for free courses over at hackingielts.com. Take care, guys, and catch you in the next one.